It has been a busy week full of news and updates on English to Africa TV. CUB27 Climate Conference continues in Egypt, and African leaders are pushing major nations to focus on the continent's dire needs. The summit was also extended by another day due to disagreements between rich and developing nations over creating a fund focused on helping poor nations to better address climate change. VOA discusses climate action and activism with Vanessa Nakate, one of the world's best-known climate activists. For this and for more, here's a highlight on each of our programs. On Africa 54,
update us on the latest developments from the summit today.
Well, today there was one development that got us a little bit closer to one of the major goals of the climate change conference, which is to fund some of the climate disasters in developing countries through the finances of wealthy countries.
75% of all greenhouse gas emissions are from the G20 nations, and environmental leaders are asking these countries to do more.
Africa's COP, as we call it, they need to lean in, both with money, but also with their own emissions reductions.
On Straight Talk Africa,
Vanessa Nakate is one of the most famous climate activists in the world. The young Ugandan often comes across as soft-spoken, but when it comes to the climate fight, she's definitely not afraid to make her voice heard. Nakate, a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, says climate change is about people. And I spoke with her in New York recently about her activism and why she advocates for what she calls forgotten communities.
My name is Vanessa Nakate. I'm 25. I'm a climate justice activist from Uganda.
We do study about climate change in school. Most of the students have, read about it in geography class, but it doesn't carry like the reality of what is happening. So you study it, you do the exams, and you go to the next class. So I didn't really understand the impact of climate change.
On Red Carpet.
Now, during the pandemic, a German startup ventured on an import business of made-in-Africa goods, from clothes to cosmetics and much more. But Manuyo was looking for more than products. It was also looking to create a new narrative about African products. Red Carpet's Myra de la Salette spoke to Manuyo's co-founder about the impact it has created. Let's take a look.
Entrepreneurs are those who understand the difference between obstacles and opportunity. Jan-Mark Lischka, a German retail expert based in Berlin, defied the odds and saw opportunity in a market where African products were not well known. In 2020, he launched Manuyo, a retail startup with the goal of increasing the number of African products in Europe, specifically in Germany.
We are importing only a very small share, less than 7% of our total imports into the European Union come from the African countries, and we want to change that.
On Healthy Living.
A stomachache is often a sign to use the toilet, but sometimes it can indicate a serious problem in the digestive system. 4 out of every 10 adults in the world suffer from gastrointestinal disorders, according to data published in the Journal of Gastroenterology. The digestive system includes the gastrointestinal tract or GI tract, the stomach, small and large bowels, and organs like the liver, pancreas, and gallbladder. It breaks down food in order to absorb water and extract nutrients, minerals, and vitamins for the body's use while removing waste. Abdominal discomfort, unintentional weight loss, acid reflux, constipation, and loss of appetite are some signs of gastrointestinal problems.
And finally, on Our Voices.
If you were using one word to describe this year's conference and the climate situation we're facing right now, what would you say?
For me, I think it's unfairness. I think the picture really described it perfectly. These conferences has been happening every year around the world in all these fancy venues, but climate change is only getting worse, and the people on the ground, the actual victims, are even suffering more. So I think unfairness is the best word that comes to my mind.
Right. I mean, that table I was looking at, it says business as usual. And when I think about a word, I mean, for reporters, analysts, and experts have a lot to say about climate change. But when I'm thinking about the rural person in rural Africa, and one common word that I think that they say whenever they hear these meetings happening in different cities around the world, it is probably fruitlessness. Fruitlessness.
This and more have been happening this week on English to Africa TV. That was Angie Omar for VOAAfrica.com.